Now, how many of you have heard in television news or have read in newspapers that the former Hewlett-Packard CEO, Carly Fiorina, said that Sarah Palin is not ready to run a corporation? Raise your hands. Actually, if you're driving, don't raise your hand, but figuratively raise your hands. The answer is just about all of you. I don't think there is a better example of the thousands of examples of how skewed reporting is against Republicans than this particular story. I read to you from CNN.com. This is the headline. McCain advisor Fiorina, Palin not ready to run a corporation. Here is the first paragraph in the story at CNN. Carly Fiorina, the former Hewlett-Packard CEO turned top John McCain aide, said she doesn't think Sarah Palin is qualified to run a major corporation. For that matter, Fiorina said, McCain, Obama, and Biden aren't capable of that kind of job either. Is anybody getting my point? I will elucidate when we return. 1-8-PRAGER-776. All righty, everybody. You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, as I have said for many years, but this year I think is more apparent than ever. A Republican runs against, especially conservative, runs against the Democrat and against the press. You have two things going against you, your opponent and the press. Tell me, and I mean it, I'd like to know that I'm wrong and that what is obvious to me is wrong and I've missed the point, where you have the media constantly saying that McCain's advisor, the former Hewlett-Packard CEO, Carly Fiorina, said that Sarah Palin and John McCain as well are not fit to be, are not prepared, not ready to run a corporation. But she said none of the four are ready to run a corporation. See, the problem is that she's honest. And there is a very real possibility that they're not ready to run a corporation. Was Dwight Eisenhower ready to run a corporation because he ran the Allied armed forces in Europe? I don't know. It's a specialty. It's almost like saying, are they ready to run a baseball team? The odds are that they can't. A knowledge of baseball and baseball players would be necessary, but it doesn't mean you're not. And she even said to her interviewer, she said, but that's not what she's running for. They asked her, and in another one of these trick questions, well, is Sarah Palin ready to be could she run a corporation? To which Carly Fiorina answered, well, no, but she's not running for CEO. She's running for vice president. They never quoted that part, and they never quoted that she later added, none of them are ready. So all you get is CNN.com headline, McCain advisor Fiorina says Palin not ready to run a corporation. And then the same thing comes from the Obama campaign. If John McCain's top economic advisor doesn't think he can run a corporation, how on earth can he run the largest economy in the world in the midst of a financial crisis, said Obama spokesman Tommy Vidor. Apparently, even the people who run his campaign agree that the economy is an issue John McCain doesn't understand as well as he should. See? And then they get angry over the pig lipstick comment. But they've done this same thing. By the way, they did this far earlier, months, half a year earlier. Would it be half a year? I don't know, 4 or 5 months earlier, saying John McCain wants us to be in Iraq 100 years. They never added the conditions under which he said that. Okay, let's go to your calls. 1-8-PRAGER-776 and Rich in San Pedro, California. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Dennis. I worked as a journalist for a little while, and I'm not sure if you're aware, the reporters don't write their headlines.
I'm totally aware,
okay,
because
my
columns are always given headlines by those who publish my column.
Okay, great. That's not a huge deal here. But I do think, look, there's...
Well, it's not only, wait. It's not only not a huge deal, it's irrelevant to my point.
My point is not... Pardon me then.
No, it's okay.
Let me say this. There's examples all day long in the newsroom of media bias, all day long, jaw-dropping examples that I couldn't even get into, but I just don't think this is one of them. I think the problem was, or the issue was, that the question was posed to Fiorina about Palin, and I think that I'm guessing that the editor, who wrote the headline, took that as the primary focus, and oftentimes it may have just been what fit. It may have just fit, because Palin, McCain, and three names in a headline, it's really kind of...
Okay, I would like this. Number one, I don't excuse the reporter, because I know no reporter who asked Joe Biden, an advisor to Joe Biden, is Joe Biden prepared to run a corporation?
I'm with you on that.
And all of these questions go against the Republicans.
The line of questioning is absolutely, I think, is not problematic, but I think it's a little bit, it's dubious. At best, but I just think that the headline is not the best example of
the headline. No, the headline is an example of their bias, because had it been just one of the Democrats, they would have said, Democratic advisor, former CEO of XYZ company, says none of the candidates are ready to be a CEO.
I don't think that it would have been that long, but I think they would have worked towards what you were just saying.
Okay, so we agree. Okay, so fair enough. We agree. That's the point. New York Times on Sunday had 5 articles / columns on Sarah Palin. 5, every one angry and dismissive. I spoke the first hour of my show about this anger at Sarah Palin from within 5 minutes. And why? How do you, on the one hand, say we don't know anything about her, but we hate her? It's because she represents certain things, and that certain things tends to be that she is not of the Harvard secular liberal world that they trust, but rather they really dismiss. She went to 4 or 5 colleges. This they find truly repugnant. God, as far as I'm concerned, I wish we had 2 people who never went to college. Here's something that people never point out. That both Democrats running for president and vice president, both of them are lawyers. Neither of the Republicans are lawyers. That's significant. Twice last week, I defended Barack Obama. Twice. Remember that? Both on the pig lipstick comment and on the taking out of context to imply that he said he was of the Muslim faith. I listened to that interview with George Stephanopoulos, and it is entirely clear it was not a slip of the tongue as if he was a Muslim. And look, I have a motto: first tell the truth, then give your opinion. And I ask the same of Obama supporters, that you acknowledge that, for example, Charlie Gibson was out to humiliate Sarah Palin. He was not interested in her views. He was out to humiliate her. I prove it. I believe I prove it to anybody open-minded enough for such proof in my column this week. And go to pragerradio.com. You will see my column where it says columns, and you click on it. And please send it to others, because I call it the Gibson Doctrine. You know what the Gibson Doctrine is? It's when the media attack Republicans more than they attack tyrants when they interview them. So that when the liberal media went to Saddam Hussein, Dan Rather treated him like the guy was well, I was going to say the head of the Boy Scouts, but that's not true. Dan Rather and the liberals would treat the head of the Boy Scouts very, very hostilely these days. The Boy Scouts are a target of the liberal world. And then there was Barbara Walters in Syria, and there was, what was the third example, with Ahmadinejad and Mike Wallace. I'll never forget. What are your hobbies? Ahmadinejad. The guy has women stoned to death, literally stoned to death, for sexual sin. And what are your hobbies? Well, he should have said, I collect rocks. Said, I'm a geologist.